I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. It's going to get cold, no doubt about it. We've been talking about some cold coming. We've been talking about the coldest day of the season so far, but you know what? Maybe we haven't been doing this enough justice, talking about the magnitude of cold air that comes in this coming week. By the same token, I also think some of the talk that's going around out there and some of the model sighting that is going on is probably a little over the top the other way. I mean, there's people that are talking about this being one of the worst blasts of early season cold in a while. And you know what? I guess I'm not going to go quite there yet. I will say that I think as we go through next week, our streak of normal temperatures and even a few days of above normal, that's easily going to come to an end. We're going to be seeing temperatures a number of degrees below normal, and not just for a day or two. We're talking once this cold air settles in across the region Monday, Tuesday, we could put together 5-6 days of temperatures well below normal. At mid-session, I guess I'm not seeing a lot of major changes here in the overall forecast. I will say this, the GFS model runs, especially the new experimental one, those are the ones that seem to be going over the top a little bit with regard to the cold air and also where they're putting it in the magnitude. For example, the experimental GFS, the new upgrade there, actually is putting some heavy snows into parts of West Texas. Now, that's over the top. Let's just be flat out honest. But we are seeing the cold air core, the center of this strong Canadian high that comes down, settling across the upper Midwest and down into the Great Lakes region. So in those areas, if we get a decent north fetch, it wouldn't be surprising to me to see some lake enhancement of a little bit of moisture. But that's the problem. As this system moves in, as the cold air moves in, you know what? It's moving in without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of moisture to work with. This is not one of these scenarios where we've got tons of moisture, and so it's a race as to whether the moisture can come in the warm sector or the cold. No, not this time around. My latest forecast here shows a fairly significant front coming through as we go through the early part of next week. It's going to trigger a little bit of precipitation with it, probably looking at quarter to half-inch rainfall totals, maybe 60% as we go through. So there's going to be some moisture there, but it's not an excessively deep layer of moisture that the cold air can really work with. And so I think, generally speaking, this is going to be just drier and colder air. The forecast will have some precipitation in it early on, and then as the rest of the cold air sets over the top of us, it just isn't going to do much. The key will be the Great Lakes, and if we get some northerly fetches down there or even winds across the lake, that may create a little bit of enhancement, like we said. But I guess I'm not going to jump off the deep end here. Yeah, going to be cold. We are also seeing those temperatures moderate fairly significantly, starting about the 18th and then going on through the 20th, the 21st, 22nd. That is going to set the stage maybe for some better activity across the country. We're seeing some systems move into the Pacific Northwest during that time frame. If they've got some warmer air to work with as they cross the Rockies, maybe it can create a little more precipitation. But right now, it's definitely going to be the cold, the main story. Whether or not the cold helps us with regard to harvest or not, that's up in the air. As we've kind of mentioned, and I've talked with several clients about, the cold air makes it so you don't dry nearly as fast. But then again, we're also not adding as much moisture to the pot either as we come through. So maybe we can actually roll harvest on in the places that are left without too substantial of delay. Winds are really going to be fierce, I think, initially as the cold air comes in. So that might actually help some things as well. Going into South America, this is becoming a more and more hot zone of action here. And you know what? It's not in the areas that people have been talking about up to this point. Everybody up to this point has been talking Brazil. Honestly, to me, Brazil looks fine. We've got good moisture coming in, scattered, but good moisture off and on here through the next week. And then the second part of the forecast period honestly has excellent moisture for Brazil. But then you get down into the southern part of Brazil. They've still had good moisture, but we're going to see it shut off as we go through the period from this weekend, maybe on through the 22nd. Not going to be seeing a lot of moisture in Rio Grande do Sul, Paraná, some big soy and corn producing states there. I don't think it's problematic, but it may raise some eyebrows. To me, the area I really want to watch, and we mentioned this in the online write-up this morning, nothing has changed at midday that changes my thought process. Argentina. Argentina definitely seems to want to be trending more toward the dry side of things. Now, as we also said in our online write-up, I don't think this is a problem yet. Now, I don't think it will be a problem yet if we go through all of next week and stay dry. But if we see this emerge as a pattern as we go on through the later stages of November and toward December 1, that's going to get me a little bit more antsy. Brazil trending dry, especially in the south-southeast, not a big story. They've had plenty of moisture there up to this point. Honestly, I've heard some arguments that they may even need to dry down a bit. But Argentina has not seen the plethora of rain so far, and so moving into a dry period here, the early part of the crop season, would not be the best scenario. So Argentina, something I'm watching very, very closely. I need to reiterate, though, I am not running a warning flag up at all just yet. It's just a watch zone for me. That's what we've got in our forecast here at midday. If you've got any questions about the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.